time, Richmond.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Richmond's Morning News here on News Radio, WRVA. My name is Rich Herrera. Appreciate you spending time with us on this muggy Tuesday morning. It is Thursday, June 11th. We're going to talk about this quite a bit today because it is the biggest news story of the day. The Iranians and the United States back now, even though this is a ceasefire. This is still technically a ceasefire. Both are actively shooting at each other. Now, the United States is calling this defensive strikes against Iran. What does that mean? Well, let me back up. Just in case you missed all of this over the last few days, let's recap how we got to where we are today. This morning on News Radio, WRVA 704, by the way, this morning in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So here's what's been going on. Of course, the United States and Iran going at it for a while. We had a ceasefire for 2 months. During that ceasefire, Iran claimed that they controlled the Strait of Hormuz, and they said they have a blockade of the strait. Well, we all know they never really controlled the strait. They put so much pressure on the international shipping community that nobody, including Lloyd's of London, would insure ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. It's about $150 million, the cost of those tankers, with about $150 million worth of fuel that you have in there and the oil. $300 million, usually it's $50,000 to insure that going through the strait. It went up to $2 million, and they just stopped writing the policy. So that's where we've been in the stalemate for the last 2 months with negotiations going back and forth. You had J.D. Vance going over. You have the Pakistanis trying to broker this. You've got Witkoff and Kushner over there trying to come up with something. And Donald Trump's been saying, hey, listen, we've been working at this. We're so close. We're so close. We're so close. Iran's been kind of poking the bear. Then about a week ago, Israel and the United States had brokered a deal with Lebanon to stop fighting between the two countries. But Hezbollah said, nope, we're not going to go along with that ceasefire and that peace deal. We're going to keep fighting. So they keep fighting with Israel. Israel responded back, hammered Hezbollah. Iran says, wait a minute, you can't pick on Hezbollah. They start shooting at Israel. The president says, Bibi Netanyahu, we're so close. Knock it off. Stop it. You shot your shot. No more. Iran, they're going to stop it. You stop it. Everybody stop it. Well, it escalated from there. So just the other day, an Apache helicopter was flying low over the Strait of Hormuz on patrol. It was hit by an Iranian drone. Somehow, miraculously, it hit between the two pilots, the pilot and the co-pilot, came into the helicopter, breached the hull, didn't explode, but started a fire. They immediately put the helicopter down in the water to keep the helicopter from exploding. They were rescued by a drone barge. But the U.S. Navy now using drones, a manless barge went and picked them up, came back. Donald Trump says, okay, listen, our red line was you kill an American serviceman, it's back on again. You want to mess around and find out? Here's what will happen. So as he's been trying to figure out over the last 36 hours, was this intentional? He found out, yeah, this was intentional. So the United States last 2 nights in a row have been having, and this is the important thing to know, proportionate strikes defensively against Iran. So what is that? That is semantics saying, mess around and find out, but we're not going to escalate this thing because we still want to get to the peace table. And if you come to the peace table, then we could try to negotiate a way to get out of this. Iran is asking for a lot, not giving much up. They say, we'll talk about our nuclear program years from now, but right now you need to show us good faith by unfreezing our money. By the way, we're still going to control the Strait of Hormuz, and people are going to have to pay a tribute tax to get through there. That's what we're willing to do. We'll stop all this, but you have to give us money up front as a gesture of good faith. The United States dismisses that out of hand because it's the most ridiculous offer you've ever seen. So where are we today? Just in case you're wondering. The United States last 2 nights have been launching attacks. I think it was 40 some odd Tomahawk missiles hammered Iran yesterday. The United States also sending fighter jets flying without any harassment because they have complete air dominance over the skies of Iran. So the attacks began. Once again, they have a list of targeted attacks. of what they're trying to take out. It looks like, once again, they're softening up any type of command control and defensive systems that the Iranians have. Now, the Iranians have lost about 80% of their ability to strike the United States assets, allies, or Israel with missiles. They had buried much of them during the first part of this fight between the two, unburied them, using them to strike, and every time they kind of pop their head up, it's like whack-a-mole. As soon as they're seen and the U.S. finds out or Israel finds out where they are, boom, they get taken out. So what's going to go on next? Well, you notice Pete Hegseth. We missed this yesterday. He was in Cuba yesterday at Gitmo, and he said the United States will negotiate with bombs. Donald Trump said, oops, I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag. You know, while we've been waiting and everybody says we've been dithering for the last 2 months, we've been secretly sending ships through the Strait of Hormuz at night with the help of the U.S. Navy, and we've got hundreds of ships that have gone through in the middle of the night. So we're getting all those ships that are stuck, not able to get through the Strait of Hormuz. They've been able to get through. Iran really doesn't control the Strait of Hormuz. So now let's take all of that, put it into the blender, tell you what's really going on. Here's what I think is going on, and I'd love to hear your comments. 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. I know Gary hasn't been here. He's been on vacation. But have you noticed how the gas prices have started to creep down just a little bit? Not nearly enough. But when I would drive to work every morning, I drive by probably a dozen gas stations, and I know the ones just because it's 4 in the morning, and it's at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It's early. Can't remember what time I drive to work sometimes. It's completely dark, but you really see those gas signs out there in the middle of the night. And, you know, I noticed when they started inching up when they're starting to get above $4, like, ugh, that crushes everybody. Now I noticed over the last week, they're starting to inch back down, and I see some down below $3.50 a gallon. So I'm wondering, well, why is that? Nobody said anything. Nobody's talked about it. Nobody said a word. You've just seen the price of oil dip back down. So it was above $100. That's when we were getting to $4.50, $5 a gallon. Now it's down to $85 a barrel. Why is that? Well, it turns out that the U.S. has been secretly escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz, and all that oil hit the international market, and we've seen the price of oil dip back down to $80 a barrel. Donald Trump let that out of the bag yesterday. And like, why would you do that? If you just take each individual thing that everybody says on its own, it makes no sense. That's why Brett Hume yesterday on Fox News and brilliantly pointed out the president's having two different conversations. He's having one with, actually multiple conversations, one with the U.S. stock market and investors, one with the U.S. people. But the most important one is he's giving intelligence information to the Iranians to put together a report to know that you done messed around and you're about to find out. And we're about to take things off the table that you thought you had us in a corner. Because I said this the other day, Donald Trump's been painted in the corner. He has to respond back. This is his response. You don't control the Strait of Hormuz. You never controlled the Strait of Hormuz. The fact that we've had hundreds of ships that we've been able to get through the Strait of Hormuz in the middle of the night means you never really had operational control of the Strait of Hormuz. Therefore, oil markets, the Strait of Hormuz is not closed by the Iranians. It will be open, and it's open right now. Hundreds of ships have gone through. Hundreds of millions of barrels of oil have gotten through. You can ease your tension on the market, and you're starting to see oil prices dip. That also tells Iran the big hammer, the only thing that you had over the rest of the world was your closing the Strait of Hormuz. Well, obviously, that's not true. You never had a blockade. You never closed the Strait of Hormuz. You just simply had worked with your proxies to scare the insurance companies off of issuing certificates of insurance for those ships to go through there. Well, now we've proven that we've got hundreds that go through there. That will open up Lloyd's of London and the rest to go, well, if hundreds have gone through, we can get our actuaries to get together and figure out the cost ratio for us. It's going to be below $2 million, probably above $50,000 is what it should be. Now you'll be able to get ships going through the Strait of Hormuz with the aid of the U.S. Navy. And again, I only know this because my son, in his aspiring military career, one of the big jobs of the U.S. Navy, power projection, and to ensure free flow of maritime traffic around the world. That's why we have such a big Navy. They're doing their job right now. So where does that leave the Iranians? Well, Donald Trump stopped short, and he's begging you to come to the negotiating tables. And he just took away your biggest card by saying that you really don't control the Strait of Hormuz. We do. Therefore, really, what do you have left? And these proportional strikes, in my opinion, that he has is giving the Iranians a little taste of what's to come unless you come to the table. Now, here's the one miscalculation I think that everybody makes. Who's in charge? Is it the son of the Ayatollah, who nobody's seen, nobody's heard from? Is it the IRGC? Is it the mullahs that are in charge over there?
1 minute to Lone Pronto.
Or is it someone else? If it's the mullahs and the IRGC, they're dead enders. They don't care about the people. They only care about the theocracy and spreading their way of life around the world. So it doesn't matter if you bomb them and you blow everything up, they're never going to give up. If you can find people that are reasonable and they understand, if you keep messing around, here's what's going to happen when you find out. They have air superiority. They will bomb anything at their time of choosing, including our power plants and including our bridges, and they will absolutely cripple this. One of the interesting things you saw them strike yesterday, what's the one hammer that we had during the ceasefire that Iran couldn't do anything about? It's the blockade of their ports. They're losing money every day by not being able to export and sell their oil. You want to play this game? We'll play this game as well. But you noticed last night, if you saw any of the reports on any of the networks, they were bombing and where the fighter jets were taking off and attacking wasn't as much infrastructure. The Tomahawk missiles had done that. They were attacking coastal locations and they were attacking some of their ports where they are able to offload and put on ships their oil. They're going to decimate that and really cut off Iran monetarily and really put the hammer on them economically. So now it's up to Iran. You see what the U.S. can do. You know what's coming. Either you come to the table and have a legitimate conversation with us, or it's back on again. You messed around. You're about to find out. Now, will they be able to have a logical conversation about that? We'll see. Anyway, that's where we are this morning. You want to comment? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Donald Trump just threw out the river card. We'll see where this game of poker goes next. 833-804-1140, the James River Air text line. Today's program is brought to you apart by Loan Pronto. Okay. I hate when I get my credit card bills because I look, okay, great. I made a big payment last month. Dude, I still owe a ton of money. You have that conversation, it's because those credit cards are never going to come down. When you pay the minimum or just near the minimum, you just keep accruing interest. You're just paying off interest, not the principal. That's why they're able to give you these great credit card rates when you open up. But when you're at 29%, if you're just paying the minimum, you never catch up. That's where Loan Pronto comes in. They can help you get rid of those stupid credit cards with their rapid equity loan. You could tap in your home's equity quickly and wipe out those stupid high-interest credit cards, pay off car loans, or even fund a project you've been looking to do, like re-roofing your house, putting on a new garage door, fixing your driveway. You could do all of that. One of their clients got $100,000 approved. It saves over $1,500 a month in those dumb credit card bills. You can do it all from your phone. No appraisal, no upfront hard credit pulls, no bank headaches, and you don't have to touch your first mortgage. Here's their website, loanpronto.com, loanpronto.com, or call them, 804-535-3860, 804-535-3860. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The most listened to female talk show host in the USA.
Okay, leave that to us women, all right? That's our thing. We do that, not you, all right? Especially somebody who runs the FBI.